I'm not saying this to provoke a cultural debate. I'm saying it because it's already happening, quietly, without speeches, without declarations. Across multiple strategic environments, economic, military, technological, one side is adapting faster, while the other is still explaining. And the most dangerous shifts in history rarely announce themselves. They don't arrive with a headline. They arrive as a pattern. What you're about to see isn't traumatic. It isn't explosive. It's subtle. But subtle movements, when sustained, reshape entire systems. And if you understand this early, you don't panic. You reposition. Stay with me until the end, because the advantage we're discussing doesn't look like dominance. It looks like patience. And patience is dangerously easy to underestimate in a world obsessed with speed. We're conditioned to notice loud power, rapid innovation, public breakthroughs. But strategic advantage often accumulates quietly. It builds in training rooms, in doctrine revisions, in local adaptations that never make headlines. And by the time it becomes visible, it's no longer new. It's already mature. Most public conversations focus on budgets, hardware, and technological spectacle. Aircraft counts, semiconductor output, naval tonnage. Yes, those matter. But technology reflects thinking. It does not create it. Hardware is the visible surface of invisible learning systems. The deeper shift isn't about equipment. It's about adaptation cycles. Who learns faster from friction? Who discards assumptions faster when reality disagrees? That's where the edge forms. The real difference emerging isn't raw capability. It's the speed at which assumptions are abandoned when they stop working. Some systems cling to doctrine, refining it, defending it, preserving it. Others treat doctrine as a draft, a starting point, not a destination. In fast-shifting environments, the cost of protecting outdated assumptions becomes exponential. But abandoning them requires cultural permission. Not every system grants that easily. In many Asian strategic cultures, patience is not hesitation. It is preparation. It is the discipline to observe before acting, the willingness to tolerate ambiguity while patterns clarify. While others rush to define situations, to name them, frame them, categorize them, these systems often allow uncertainty to breathe, because premature clarity can lock in premature mistakes. And the side that waits long enough to see the full board often moves fewer pieces, but moves them better. Geography shapes thinking. Jungles, mountains, dense coastlines, monsoon cycles. These environments punish rigidity. They reward nuance. They teach leaders early that complexity cannot be simplified away. In landscapes where visibility is limited and conditions change hourly, survival favors adaptation over control. That environmental literacy becomes strategic literacy, and over time, it compounds. Doctrine exists everywhere, but how it functions differs. In several Asian forces and institutions, doctrine operates as guidance, not commandment. Local leaders are expected to interpret terrain, conditions, and emerging variables, not wait for permission. Authority flows downward, but interpretation flows outward, which means the edge of the system is alive. And systems that keep their edges alive learn faster. Here's where this becomes uncomfortable. Lessons are not always routed upward first. They are absorbed locally, tested, refined, adjusted, shared laterally before they're ever formalized. Adaptation doesn't wait for paperwork. And because iteration happens closest to friction, it reflects reality sooner. Learning velocity increases, not because the system is louder, but because it is closer to experience. Large institutions require consensus. Consensus requires coordination. Coordination requires time. Time slows adjustment. Meanwhile, smaller or more flexible units iterate while discussions continue elsewhere.
Scale provides strength, but it can also create inertia. And inertia in unstable environments becomes risk. The question isn't whether scale is powerful, it's whether scale can move fast enough.
Failure in many high adaptation systems is not hidden. It is examined early, locally, without excessive reputational damage. The objective isn't perfection, it's iteration. Iteration compounds. Small improvements applied repeatedly outpace large plans that resist revision. When failure becomes information instead of embarrassment, learning accelerates. Training environments reveal institutional philosophy. In high learning systems, scenarios remain fluid. Variables shift mid-exercise. Certainty is disrupted intentionally. Discomfort is not avoided, it's treated as data, because real environments rarely behave as planned. Training that preserves comfort produces fragility. Training that introduces friction produces resilience, and resilience travels further than confidence alone. There is also a pragmatic acceptance of human limits, endurance, fatigue, sustainability. Instead of assuming peak performance under ideal conditions, systems are designed for strain. Recovery cycles are built in. Energy is conserved where possible, because long contests reward conservation over bursts. This is not dramatic thinking, it's durable thinking. Western institutions are exceptional at optimization. When conditions are stable, they produce extraordinary efficiency. But optimization assumes predictability. It assumes inputs remain consistent. When the environment shifts unexpectedly, highly optimized systems can become brittle, not weak, just tightly tuned to yesterday's assumptions. And retuning large systems takes time. Risk in many Western structures is managed centrally. That protects institutions. It safeguards political capital. It prevents isolated failures from scaling. But it can also slow tactical learning, because when risk permission lives at the top, experimentation at the edge narrows. And without edge experimentation, learning decelerates. In many Asian frameworks, local units develop deep familiarity with their environments. They are not temporary occupants, they become part of the terrain's rhythm. Weather patterns, supply realities, cultural signals. Familiarity reduces surprise, and reduced surprise increases clarity. When systems embed locally, they don't just operate in terrain, they synchronize with it. Waiting is often misunderstood. It is not delay, it is leverage, allowing variables to mature, letting opponents reveal assumptions, letting external pressure expose internal rigidity. Time magnifies structural differences, and systems confident in their learning speed often welcome extended timelines because they know adaptation compounds. Confidence doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it appears as restraint, fewer public declarations, fewer dramatic signals, fewer emotional reactions, because confidence anchored in learning doesn't need spectacle. It relies on accumulation, and accumulation rarely looks impressive in the moment, but it transforms outcomes over years. Reports capture outputs. They measure production, funding, inventory, but they struggle to measure learning velocity. The OPFOR adapting faster may not show immediate superiority. It shows positioning, flexibility, optionality. Metrics often reward what is visible. Advantage often grows in what is invisible. Nothing collapses overnight. No headline announces imbalance. No singular event signals reversal. The gap widens gradually, beneath the surface, in rehearsal rooms, in doctrine updates, in quiet after-action reviews. And because the shift is gradual, it feels stable, until it isn't. This is not East versus West. It is systems that learn faster versus systems that justify better.
And in uncertain environments, learning speed compounds. The future rarely belongs to the loudest, it belongs to the most adaptable. In the next episode, we examine the terrain that exposes rigid systems in just 72 hours and why it surprises nearly everyone.